Hey everyone, this is Evan. I wanted to try something a little different on this video, and so after a brief flight, I'm going to bring you back to my pandemic editing suite here in my basement and show you how I process the photos and videos that I take during the flight. So stay tuned after the flight and we'll come back here. I'm Evan Anderman, a geologist, photographer, and pilot based in Denver, Colorado. Come with me as I discover new ways to look at the environment.
Going east, 6 Mike, thank you. Hi everyone, it's Evan. New Year's Eve, December 31st. This is the last flight I can take before my annual is due. And so I'm going to do a golden hour flight out over the eastern plains of Colorado.
Cessna 756 Mike Yankee, standing entire runway 35 right, line up and wait, traffic landing, runway 28.
Line up and wait, 35 right, 6 Mike Yankee.
Cessna 6 Mike Yankee, wind 360 at 7, east approved, runway 35 right, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff of 35 right, eastbound approved, 6 Mike Yankee, thank you. I'm out here just a little bit early, just waiting for the light to get just a little more attenuated. Trying to find the right angle on it too. Yeah, it's not the best light today. Funny, the light looks nice when I'm looking further out that direction, but then close up right here, not interesting. Yeah, and I can see some clouds off to the west. So the sun is going to disappear into those and then we'll be done. Disappear behind those, I should say. Oh yeah, I can see the shadow of the cloud up in front of us. Sunset's about to happen there, although the sun is shining on the other side of it. But yeah, I'm worried we're about to lose the light here, which is too bad. Some crazy patterns. Further east, I can see the shadow moving that direction, racing the light here. I can't find a nice composition. And by the time I circle back around, it's going to be in the shade. Oh, just missed that one. Oh well, a near miss as I call it. Yeah, I think I lost my opportunity here. As you can see the shadows ahead of me. Well, let me think about what to do. I could chase it, or I could return to the airport. The shade here is just not working for me. Anyway, I was hoping for a nicer golden hour instead of just a big cloud. But what do? It is what it is. I'm at a field I call Shamrock. Always interesting shapes. But there's a stream that meanders through here that's awesome. And it like bifurcates. Yeah, ISO 2500. Probably lose the camera. Just not enough light now. Beautiful evening though, nice to be out. Yeah, well the snow doesn't help. The light's not great. So it's not great for pictures. Might as well head home and enjoy New Year's Eve. So, well thanks for coming along. Gonna head back to Centennial and land over there. Anyway, it's been a great year. Thank you for subscribing and watching and liking and just paying attention to what I do. Obviously, I'm passionate about getting out here and looking at stuff, trying to find these images, see different lighting and different conditions. And so it's just great fun. I'm glad you'd like to join me on that adventure.
Well, that was a great flight. I hope you guys enjoyed that. The light turned out okay in the end. I thought you might be interested to see what I do in Adobe Lightroom to process the images. So here's the first picture that I want to talk about. This is a typical aerial photograph that has a low dynamic range. So the first thing that I do is to increase that by bringing the blacks down and the whites up. And that gets us off to a good start. I also tend to add a little contrast on top of that. Okay, Once I get the photo a little better looking, then I can start to look at the color. And so I'm going to actually slide it a little bit over towards the yellow and away from green. It looks a little green to me, so going towards the magenta. I think that there is a little blue in the shadows here. That snow, you know, the white snow really reflects the sky. And so what I'm going to do is go to the HSL tab and pull the blue saturation down so that it turns to a more normal color. I could also play around a little bit with the hue and maybe make it a little more towards the yellow. I play around, I slide things back and forth and see how they work. Coming down to the next set of sliders, the presence, I give it a little texture, which is like specialized kind of high frequency sharpening, and maybe just a touch of clarity, maybe give it a little bit of vibrance. And so that's a pretty good first start. Moving on to the next picture, what I tend to do is to use the previous button down here to pick up the edits that I made in the last photograph. And that's kind of a starting point. It doesn't always work. Each picture is an individual. Bring the blacks up a little bit. I think the whites also needed to come down. You see I don't really go in an order here. Add a little more contrast. The other thing I like to do is to add a little post-crop vignetting, because it kind of brings down the edges of the pictures, brings up the center, give it a little more. So maybe a little more yellow. You can see it's an iterative process. I'm looking at the picture the whole time just to see if I like the changes that I'm making. That's the nice thing about Lightroom. Then on to the next picture. One of a frozen pond right there. I love the shape of that right in the center of the photograph. Again, I bring the previous settings in from the last photograph, tweak them a little bit. The blacks seem a little crushed. The color seems a little blue, gonna head towards yellow. I think that's pretty good. Now, another one I want to use the adjustment brush on is this picture of a field that I kind of think looks like a running woman, but I'd like to get the valley part that's a little in the midtones. I want to get it the exposure down a little bit. So I will just start painting the adjustment in. And this is a process, takes a little while. Maybe I'll crank it up a little bit more so I can see where I'm actually using it, just to kind of help define the dark of the valley here. And the shape is what I'm really trying to define. It seemed like it was a little soft on the left-hand side. So I'm just holding the mouse button down and painting over this area. Really works well. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I might give just one swipe down in here, bring that down a little bit. I think that's a much better photograph already. So there it is, turned off. There it is, turned on. So you can see it's a big change. To really define the subject that you want and to draw the viewer into that. So I think it works well. So there are 80 pictures here I have to do this to. Some time has passed and I've had a chance to go through all these pictures that I took. You'll remember that I seem to be having a hard time getting a composition or getting the right light. You know, it's kind of the usual thing with photographers. But I actually think I did pretty well. So you'll see here all the pictures that I've worked on, and you'll see that some are kind of grayed out. And so what I've already done is to go through and select the pictures that I'm less interested in, and I will actually delete those right now. So this is the way we get rid of them. So Lightroom says delete the 56 rejected master photos from disk, and I'll say yes, delete from disk. And so what that does is it actually removes them from the disk and from Lightroom. And I'm ruthless about getting rid of things, and they're gone forever. I'd rather go out and shoot more photos than sit here and try and fix and go through old stuff. So anyway, you can see what I ended up with, and maybe I'll just go full screen. It was a pretty good selection. I think some of these are still going to take some effort, but I like what I'm seeing. I think I got some interesting shots. It was moody light. The snow is interesting, I think kind of helped. I think I've done a good first step on the processing, but I'll keep working on it and perfecting them so that I'm happy with them. Oh, this is that Shamrock area. And it turned out better than I thought. And then after I turned off the cameras, actually, the light came out again a little bit, and so I was able to get this. Well, thanks for joining me here in the editing suite and seeing how I do things. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to write something in the comments and I'll answer that the best that I can. Otherwise, I'll look forward to catching you on the next video.